What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Coming to you on a Sunday. A little different than the norms. Where is some of these wires? Where are you, wires? A little different than normal. Coming to you on a Sunday. Reason being, my friends, reason being is this. Dawn Friday, welcome, man. Good to see you. I never see you on here. Reason being, my friends, is because I haven't quite, Andy, looks like a new name, welcome. Haven't quite mastered my Friday schedule. Gonna eat an apple here as we warm up. Same to you, Dawn. Dawn Friday. Happy Sunday, Dawn Friday. So here's an idea. As more people, giving time for more people to connect here before I start ranting, teaching, lecturing. What's your favorite fruit? Voice crack. What's your favorite fruit? How about that? What is your favorite fruit? In the last couple of years, I've started to consume more and more fruits, more and more of more fruits. And, hello, Tom. Just curious, what's your favorite fruit? And then I'll tell you mine. What a fun game, right? What a fun game. What's your favorite fruit? And then I'll tell you mine. Right now I'm eating a golden delicious apple. Corey, welcome. Okay, so as you're telling me what your favorite fruit is, what are we doing here today, right? Well, today we are going to record what I learned this week. Tiffany, welcome. Jake, welcome. Raspberries. Wow, a peach. That's an interesting one. Peaches, that's my brother's. That's one of my brother's favorite fruit. I don't think peaches got much love. Concord grapes. Dawn Friday. Interesting choice. That's my father-in-law always talked about Concord grapes. It's a really interesting one. But yeah, Dylan, I feel like peaches don't get a lot of love. Every once in a while, I'll go with a peach. If I do go with peaches, I enjoy eating... all right, Travis. I enjoy eating like a whole peach, like I'm eating an apple. Also, my older brother loves pears. The same one that loves peaches, I feel loves pears too, which is very interesting. In terms of grapes, I prefer red grapes. Oh my gosh. Red grapes, I feel like it's like so good. So I'm a sugar. I grew up on sugar, and I've really had to work hard to consume less sugar. It's been a gradual process, 2 or 3 years. But a red grape popping in my mouth feels like I just ate a whole spoonful of sugar. So I know it is sugar, but it's better. It's good, better sugar. But anyway, yes. Raspberries, Tom. Man, these are good ones. Making me hungry too. So I started eating Greek yogurt for breakfast because Greek yogurt's really healthy for you. It's got a lot of protein, first of all, but also like for gut bacteria. I'm not an expert, but I read enough to know that it's good bacteria for your gut. Probiotics maybe. But I don't necessarily like the flavor of plain Greek yogurt. But when I throw in blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, I think they're and then red grapes. Boom! Red grapes gives it that extra pop. It's incredible. So in the morning, I'll have a big bowl of Greek yogurt with a bunch of berries and grapes. A little bit of crunchy granola. My wife loves bananas too, Tom, but I like them, but I don't love them. When I was in Spain years and years and years ago, I had there's bananas that come from the Canary Islands, They're not even called, I don't even think they're called bananas. And I'm not thinking platano because a platano is a different thing either. But I think they're called like bananas canarias, like canary bananas or something. Anyway, they're small. Oh my gosh, it was one of the best things I've ever had. If I had to identify my favorite fruit, it would drive me crazy. I'd start sweating and I'd get hives. I eat a lot of apples. Scott Moore, welcome. I eat a lot of apples, a lot of berries. I honestly think so. If I had to say my favorite fruit ever, I can't even do it. It's so stressful right now. I can't even do it. I eat a lot of apples. I eat a lot of grapes. I eat a lot of berries. Don't know why you would care. But I just am talking right now. But oh my gosh, honeydew, cantaloupe. I think one of the best tasting foods on, oh my gosh, watermelon. One of the best tasting foods on earth is a good pineapple. Good pineapple. Scott Moore, we're just talking fruits here. What's your favorite fruit? We're killing time before people signed in here and started listening. We're just talking fruits. What's your favorite fruit? Huh? What's your favorite fruit? But I'm about to record what I learned this week live. Because I didn't record it Friday or Saturday. So I'm recording it Sunday. And the old rock-a-boy is sleeping. Gracie is relaxing. Wife is relaxing. So I'm going to record real quick. Mrs. Brenneman, welcome. Okay, so I'm going to get cranking here. Pineapples are good. Asian pear, Scott Moore. That's it. Now, is an Asian pear different than a regular pear? Like, I don't know the. Wow, clementines. I forgot about clementines too. Oh my gosh. And if I've actually more than Googled, like researched clementines versus the other. What's the other thing that's like a clementine? Not a tangerine or a tangelo, but whatever in the little halo. They might even be clementines. Back there's two little orange things that are very similar. And there's like a difference, but not really a difference, but they're amazing. So much easier to peel than oranges too. Yeah, okay. I probably count on the amount of pears I've eaten in my life. 2, 3, maybe? I don't know, I just never did. Okay. So we're going to record mandarin. Yes, mandarins and clementines. No, but is a mandarin... Okay, anyway, I could just make this a whole talk about fruit, but I'm not going to. All right, so I'm going to jump into what I learned this week live. I'm going to record it as a podcast episode, and then I will upload that to my podcast feed. Dr. Letcher, welcome. And then, yeah, so be sure to hop on iTunes, subscribe to, just type in Spaniard. I think soon we're going to be changing the show to the Spaniard Show or World's Toughest Lifelong Learner, or both. Whichever one you want to call it. Pardon me, I just burped on the air. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so make sure you search us out on iTunes. You'll get all the AMXs, all the interviews, teaching Spanish on the podcast too. So on Tuesday comes out a new Spanish episode and all the interviews, conversations. So be sure to subscribe because it gets sent straight to your phone. Okay, what I learned this week. Oh, before I go, also April 7th, Saturday, April 7th, I'll be doing what I learned that week live at Barnes & Noble in Altoona. Dr. Letcher, Maureen, I'm going to send you some information here soon. If just tell the kids or the teachers or whoever might, I'm talking to everyone now, tell whomever might enjoy that. It's going to be a live show, a live recording of this, like in person live. So it'd be cool if we had some local people there. Okay. It's going to be entertainment, discussion, feel goodness. Some learning. We're going to do some learning. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do some learning. Because you know what my mission is? My mission is to put this stake in the ground and say reading is where it's at, people. Reading is preparation. Learning gets you what you want. Boom. And we're going to do it. And we're starting right here, right now, when I say go. Comment, feedback. I'll go back to you ASAP. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to another episode of What I Learned This Week. This is the 53rd week that I've done this. So I've been learning. You know, I was thinking today, I've been learning. I've been an incessant learner, a lifelong learner since I was a kid. I'm obsessive. I ask a lot of questions. I want to learn how to do something. I don't just want to learn how to do something. I want to learn how to do it to the best of my ability. might be genetic, but it was certainly reinforced and conditioned really by my parents, who just always, they stress, do your best, do your best. So I became obsessive, and what got me thinking about that was with Spanish. One of my favorite stories to tell about Spanish, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people take a foreign language in junior high or high school, but very few people ever get to a point where they would say they're fluent. And even when you're fluent, people who don't really know languages don't even know there's levels of fluency. Like someone who is, quote, fluent could not even really know what they're talking about. There's so many levels. So I just became fascinated with these levels of competency in these different areas of my life, and I've been doing it for as long as I can remember, to the annoyance of those people in my family or my friends who had to be the recipient of all of these questions. But really, it's a practice. You learn how to learn. One of the books I'm going to talk about this week called Team Dog, How to Train Your Dog the Navy SEAL Way, he talks about learning how to learn, and we're talking about conditioning dogs. But really, it's a practice. It's a practice that you can apply anywhere in your life to do anything or to get anything you want in your life. You got to learn how to do it. And my favorite manner of learning is reading. That's essentially what this show is about, the books I read. But it's also the conversations. It's I was watching something on Access TV with Dan Rather, the interview, or the big interview, or something after that, where it was talking about the Doors. And I recorded a couple clips that Jim Morrison's peers said about him. And because that's learning, that's fuel, that's reinforcement. Maybe it's a talking point. Look, if you're a teacher, if you're a professor, if you're a business person, if you're a parent, you got to have source. You got to have content to discuss. You got to have content, because when you create these discussions with these books, the discussions that they create by way of my show, I'm talking right now specifically, that these points that I write down and the extrapolations of those points, I'm either talking to myself, or in the long term, I'm talking to my kids who are eventually going to listen to this. But it applies right to you as well, because those principles are universal principles. So use these, especially this episode, the What I Learned This Week episode, use them to foster and facilitate these discussions. If you're a teacher or a principal in a high school or a college, use them. I mean, you talk about bell ringers. These are bell ringers. This is the 53rd week I've done them. There's 7 every week. That's 53 times 7, whatever that equals out to. They're out there. Go to charliespaniard.com, opt into the email list. You're going to get this document that I'm recording off of right now every Friday sent to you. You're also going to have the audio file to listen to whenever, wherever you want. And on April 7th, I'm hosting my first live, one of my first live events, formally, of What I Learned This Week, because this is what I want to do in the future. I want to get on a stage and share what I learned that week, every week, to anyone and everyone who wants to listen, who believes that learning will get you what you want and reading is preparation for life. That's my ultimate goal. We're starting somewhere. We're starting at Barnes & Noble in Altoona, PA on Saturday, April 7th at 4 p.m. Be there. Be there. Take part. Think, what this guy talking about? We'll come find out what I'm talking about and find out why it's important and how and why reading can and will change your life. So let's get into this week's episode. Number 50, well, not number 53, but this is the What I Learned This Week, number 53, the 53rd week that I've cataloged in this format, the things I've been learning. So we wrapped up Jack Canfield's Success Principle book, and I'm happy, I'm honored, I'm tickled to say that Dredd and myself, during the course of reading this book and studying these principles, we got certified in the Jack Canfield Train the Trainer program. So Jack Canfield, who is the co-author and the founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul, as well as the author of Success Principles, he has a Train the Trainer program to develop your ability to conduct workshops and seminars, etc. And we had the opportunity, Dredd and myself, to get certified in his program, and we recently just got the confirmation email, so that's awesome. But so I wrapped up this book, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, and then I started a new book that I'm tremendously excited about, and it's outside of the realm of AMX. So the books I do for AMX, that's my daily series, 8 minutes. If you're not listening to it, subscribe to my show, listen every Monday through Friday. It's 8 minutes. I generally try to get books that apply, that generally the masses can use, right? They're not super specific. It's not how to wrestle. It's not how to get more people to visit your website. It's general, like universal principle. It's philosophy. It's the practice, the discipline, living well, how to get the most out of yourself, because that's something I practice and need on a daily basis for my own functionality, for my own purposes. But this book, it struck me. So I heard an interview. Well, I'll actually get into that here in a minute. Let's start with wrapping up the success principles. We're going to talk first about success principle number 58. In the Success Principle book, which I recommend you all get, it's a serious investment, and I mean that in terms of time. It's small print. It's a long book. It's I believe, 550 pages. There's 67 principles, but it's something that every one of you should get. And I'll have it on my website, charliespaniard.com/reading list here in the next week or so. But every one of you should read it. If you just committed to one principle a week, have it that. It's like whatever, 15 pages in a week. Do it for 67 weeks. Do it for a little bit over a year. And soon I'll be conducting some principles where I teach the success principle, or some workshops where I teach the success principles. So however you can consume them, consume them. But number 58, and this was in the financial section, it was success principle number 58, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. So specifically they were talking about money and income, and when you get a check, put obviously if your taxes aren't taken out, you got to pay taxes, and then after that, whatever, you pay your bills, etc., etc. But there was a book given to me which had this same principle, a book recommended to me by one of my BJJ instructors, Ricardo Miglioris, and he said, you got to read the book The Richest Man in Babylon. And I thought, what, The Richest Man in Babylon, it doesn't really ring a bell, but sure, I'll read it, Rick, because you're awesome and I trust you, so I'm going to read the book. And it was so profound, it's so simple. I believe there's like 7 little practices, but one of them is pay yourself first. And paying yourself first means, and you can take this from a straight financial perspective, or you can take it from, other things in your life. But paying yourself first is just a simple practice where you make a dedicated effort, and it's the same as a slight edge principle. It pays into the idea of dividends and compound interest. It really, what I want you to take away from pay yourself first, like getting outside of actually just paying yourself or putting it in an envelope, putting it in a different account, whatever, is just do little things a lot over a period of time, and the reward will be great. That's what I want you to take away from pay yourself first. Do little things a lot for a long time, and the outcome will be great, right? Compound interest or a slight edge effect, however you want to call it. That's the gist of success principle number 58. Pay yourself first. Moving on to the next bullet point in the document, success principle number 62. Find a way to serve. Find a way to serve. In this awesome journey that is going on in the business that I'm building and the neat and awesome people that I'm meeting, I just met a really awesome person who used to head a really awesome organization, and we talked, and he mentioned a book to me called The Servant, which I ordered and which I'll most likely be talking about on the show, but it falls into this principle number 62. Find a way to serve. Find a way to serve. I was listening to Jocko podcast the other day, and he was talking about, he interviews a lot of war veterans who come home and they need to find a new mission and purpose in life, and a lot of them have suffered from their experiences overseas in wars, and they have to adapt to a new type of life. And he was saying the importance of finding a mission, but then he also kind of went on to talk about this idea that if you're feeling down, and this is not just for military, this is for anybody, but if you're feeling down, and you don't feel good about yourself, maybe it's lack of self-esteem, lack of purpose, lack of whatever. Jocko said something that is so, I've heard it before, but you forget. But he said, do something for someone else. Do something for someone else, and that'll make you feel good. So if you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, I feel like garbage, or I don't feel good about myself, just do something for someone else. I can tell you, yesterday it was just little stuff, like with my daughter and I think like doing the dishes, but you just feel good. It's like your chest puffs out a little bit. You start feeling good about yourself. It really can be that simple. Find a way to serve, no matter where you're doing, where you're at. You're caught up, you're day to day, the stress of this, that, hit pause and just do something simple. Outside of all that stuff, right? Outside of the Joneses and outside of all the other clutter that is just built up, right? Like the hard water calcium deposits that don't let your Keurig. I don't know why I always think of this, but I have a Keurig, and every once in a while the hard water builds up, and then I got to drain it with vinegar, and then boom, it's functioning again. Consider you're getting rid of the hard water calcium deposit. Do something nice for someone else. Find a way to serve. And the next bullet point comes from my Speak Spanish with Spaniard. I believe this was the 5th episode. And every week on Tuesdays will come out a new episode of Speak Spanish with the Spaniard. Habla español con el español. And I'm teaching Spanish, and I'm teaching it in the same way that I'm teaching my kids Spanish. And, you know, just today I asked Rocky, he said, ¿Dónde están los zapatos? Where are your zapatos? And he pointed to the zapatos. He'll say agua when he wants water. And Gracie is well beyond that. She's 4.5. But I'm learning how to teach Spanish to my kids, right? I used to teach Spanish in high school and junior high, and there was a format and a curriculum and, you know, 40-minute periods, et cetera, et cetera. But now I'm doing it in like a more real life, everyday, long-term life. Let's put it that way, lifelong learning. So what I was talking about earlier, this idea of lifelong learning. Gracie and Rocky aren't going to Spanish class once a day for 40 minutes. Gracie and Rocky are living Spanish class day in and day out, for better or worse. For better or worse, before I came downstairs to record, I said, honey, Gracie can have, you know, maybe 5 or 10 more minutes on the iPad. Then she can either get off it or she can turn it into Spanish. Just yesterday, we were watching El Camioncito on Netflix. It's this little kid's cartoon in Espanol. But it really pays in the idea of lifelong learning. And I can promise you this. Even if you don't want to learn Spanish, even if you don't care about learning Spanish, if you appreciate learning and you appreciate a guy who loves learning and a guy who loves teaching, you will enjoy and appreciate those episodes. They're 20, maybe 30 minutes, but I'm teaching what you, the listener, are telling me you want to learn by going to charliespaniard.com/Spanish. Please do it. Please take the initiative to do that. You know, I probably have 10 more emails with random questions, but I'd love to have 100 or 100. I'd love to have 1,000 of them. Just please take the initiative and do it. I'm asking, if you enjoy this show or you enjoy AM Excellence, just take one time. Go to charliespaniard.com/Spanish. Say, hey, I listen to your show. I love it. I'm doing this as a favor, but could you please teach this? Or I think this would be neat to teach. It will help me out, and I would sincerely appreciate it. But anyway, even if you don't want to learn Spanish, you don't even care about Spanish, you'll appreciate me, who loves Spanish, teaching it to people who love Spanish. It's fun. Dredd always talks about cooking shows, or I can't tell you how many things that I watch or listen to, and I think to myself, I don't care about comic books. I could care less about comic books. But I love watching people who love comic books, because it's fun. It's like, it represents an idealism that we all, I'll just say we all, but whatever, absolutes, no absolutes, you know, that is neat. Like, someone's so into it. That's like their purpose. I love it. That's how I feel about books. That's how I feel about learning. That's how I feel about Spanish. So Tuesday's coming up, and on that episode, on the last one, Speak Spanish with Spaniard, it's a really neat example of how there's so many nuances, so many levels to learning another language. And even when you learn that language, there's like levels within that language. Specifically speaking with Spanish, what is acceptable in one country is not acceptable in another. When you try to translate it straight from English to Spanish, it does not always work. And sometimes it can mean something pretty inappropriate. So the word caliente and picante both mean hot, right? They're not used in the same way. So one of our listeners wrote me and said, hey, I said this thing and it was not right. And the way it was not right was very not right. So again, we get into the nuances and the intricacies of learning another language. So you absolutely enjoy that. Moving on to success principle number 66. Use the exponential power of crowdfunding. Use the exponential power of crowdfunding. Now, specifically, in the success principle book, this section of the book was talking about social media and the power of social media and crowdfunding. So if I, the Spaniard, want to create something and I don't have the money for it and I don't want to go outside and seek, you know, actual investors, you, my audience, could be my investors. That's essentially what crowdfunding is. Hey, listeners, I'm doing this thing. Would you help fund it? And if you fund it and it succeeds, you'll get this in return. That's, in a nutshell, my understanding, a pretty decent understanding of crowdfunding. But I wanted to take that outward. You know, on the live stream right now, there's a couple wrestling coaches at Lock Haven watching, or they at least were. And Lock Haven has you know, really like revamped the program in the last couple of years. It is a direct result of the coaching that is in place and the guys that they're recruiting and the belief that they're instilling in the guys that they're recruiting. And what's happening now is they had a great performance out at Nationals, and now more and more people want to help. So that's a natural tendency. People love winners. Okay, people love winners and people want to help winners. And not even just winners, but people respect hard work. People respect someone who's all into something. People respect purpose and direction and intent and initiative. People respect that and they want to help it. So how I want to extrapolate on use the exponential power of crowdfunding is this. When they, I include a quote in this document this week. Win the crowd and you will win your freedom. Win the crowd and you will win your freedom. That is from yours truly, Gladiator. And it's being spoken to Spaniard. And Russell Crowe goes out and dominates and win the crowd. But what I'm saying to you is this. Use the exponential power of crowdfunding. If you believe in something, you know, back to that documentary I just watched on Jim Morrison. If you believe in something, right? If you believe in your voice, if you believe in your cause, if you believe in your subject, right? Spanish, I believe in Spanish. Just the mere power of being all in to that thing that you're into, it generates energy. And if we go back to what Canfield talks about with the law of attraction, you know, what you think about, you bring about. The more all in you are, the more you exhibit the more your voice is you, the more your intent is you, the more crossover there is, the more steam it will pick up. And what I want to talk about the exponential power of crowdfunding, use that. You have a purpose, you have a mission, you have a task, use it. You're the head of a school and you believe in a certain culture that you want in that school. You've got to live it. You've got to be it. I think of Cale Sanderson above and beyond nearly anyone. Cale Sanderson embodies what Penn State University wrestling is. Cale Sanderson is Penn State. Like, he is the program, his ideals, his character, his values, his work ethic, his standards. It is that. And when you put all of you into that thing, you're able to harness and use the exponential power, not just of crowdfunding, we're talking dollar bills, but of crowds, right? And I guarantee Lock Haven will keep crowd because that momentum has been built and will continue. Now, moving on to the next book. The next book I started, and I'll be wrapping up here in a day or two on AM Excellence. Excuse me. Team Dog, How to Train Your Dog, the Navy SEAL Way. So I love dogs. I was given my first dog as a gift when I was in junior high school, and he lived till he was almost 16 years old, and it was like a bond that is so incredibly special to me, and I just love dogs. I love the bond between a human and a dog. I love everything, the warmth of them, the fuzziness of them, the connection, the loyalty. It's ideal, right? We're talking about idealism. It encapsulates all of those things. And so I was listening again to the Jocko podcast, and there was this guy who came on. His name is Mike Ritland, and Mike is a former Navy SEAL, but he's also a working dog trainer, like a canine trainer. And he trains military dogs, he trains police dogs, he trains any sort of security dogs, service dogs. He also trains, private individual dogs. It was just a really fascinating interview, and I thought two things. One, I'm buying this guy's book. He has a series of books, but I'm buying the book they're talking about. Two, I'm buying his course. So he has a course that's like $84 for the year. And what I'm finding is it's a community of people who are trying to train their dogs. So now I have all these resources. And then I thought, I want to talk to this guy. So I reached out. We have a call set up for this Wednesday where he's going to be on the show. So that's going to be awesome. But in this book, it's called, like I said, it's called Team Dog, Train Your Dog the Navy SEAL Way. There's 8 principles to train your dog. And the reason I'm bringing this book to the show, to AM Excellence, is because these principles are very, very applicable to human relationships and leadership. And they're principles that it's a, we're talking instinct, we're talking respect, we're talking loyalty, we're talking repetition, we're talking consistency, we're talking perseverance. We're talking all of these virtues, really, that are crossover, person to person, person to dog. So that's why I'm reading the book and studying the concepts. But the first one, establish yourself as the team leader. So it's talking about, again, we're talking about training dogs, but he's talking about establishing yourself as the team leader. So the way in which he does this is through a mutual respect. So let's apply it to life. If you're a personal relationship, you want to develop, you want to repair a personal relationship, it's got to be about respect. And it's got to be about perspective. That's another huge thing he talks about when you're establishing yourself as a team leader. Respect, perspective, understanding that you've got to develop a connection in order to develop anything beyond that. So establishing yourself as a team leader is not just saying something. He talks a lot about your emotions, staying calm, cool, and collected. So establishing your team leader is putting your stake in your ground and keeping yourself under control, weaving through the uncomfortability of the conversations of the relationship, but yet establishing a mutual respect that will lead way to this other, whatever your intent and purpose is. But what I want you to take from, what I'm taking from Establish Yourself as a Team Leader is about respect and about perspective. Understanding, understanding where that person, or in this instance, where that dog is coming from. If you remember me reading the book, How Adam Smith Can Change Your Life, he talks about the law of me and the law of you. The law of me says I think about me more than I think about you, and the law of you says you think about you more than you think about me. So even though I'm calling you up and saying, hey, this Spaniard, hey, blah, 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 guess what? You were not just thinking about me. I was thinking about you, but you were doing something else, right? I was thinking about me. You weren't thinking about me. So there's a real good lesson about respect and sorry, I lost my train. About respect and perspective in that principle. Establish yourself as a team leader. The next one. This was a solo sode. And again, all of these bullet points are taken from that week's episode. So this document I created last Friday, the 23rd of March. So just, listen from the 18th to the 23rd, and you're going to get all of these episodes therein. But I was talking about not wanting to do the things that you have to do. And we all hit that. And the reason I recorded that solo-sode is just to put it out there that even when things are going well, I was at a particular spot. I was at a particular spot in my career where it's like, hey, some things are starting to happen. I'm getting more gigs. I'm speaking here, speaking there. I love it. I'm in front of real people, doing real stuff. It's not just, making phone calls to people who aren't asking to be called. It's awesome. But then guess what? There's other times where you just got to work because you're not doing that all the time, and you got to plant the seeds for future business. So that episode on Thursday's episode was all about that, doing the things that you don't want to do, but they're the things that got you to where you are, and they'll get you to that next level. Give that Thursday episode. The next time that you think to yourself, I don't feel like doing this, listen to that episode that came out on last Thursday, which would have been the 22nd maybe in March. And the last part, in command of yourself and in control of your dog. And this kind of touches on the establish yourself as a team leader. This, again, is coming from Team Dog. If you have a dog, and my dog is 8 years old. I have a little Frenchie. So the first one that I had for almost 16 years was a Beagle Terrier, little black and white guy. His name was Doc. And my new dog's a little black and white girl. Her name is Josie. She's a French bulldog. She is awesome and kooky all at the same time. And I'm realizing that it is much because of the training that we did or did not do when she was young. And they do say you can teach an old dog new tricks, so that's exactly why I'm totally bought into his program. But he talks about command and control. Command and control from a military perspective. Now, I'm not going to talk about it military perspective because I don't have the expertise to talk about it military perspective. But he talks about command and control in terms of a relationship or in training your dog. And he's basically saying in command of yourself and in control of your dog. If you want to control in any environment, I used to be a teacher and a wrestling coach. I speak in front of crowds. I fight. I used to fight for a living. I get in front of these live streams. I conduct workshops. So you got to be in command of yourself, and you got to be in control of the crowd. If they see you, if your audience, in whatever capacity, whatever your role is, if your audience sees you lose control of yourself or you're not in command of yourself, they're going to be out of control. I can think of one specific talk I gave where it just wasn't, it was not a great situation. And it took all of me to keep myself composed, reset, get straight, to then control the room and be able to turn it into a positive experience for everyone involved. It was not easy, but you've got to maintain command of yourself to control the situation. There were several examples that I've read recently from both this book and other books talking about military leaders and the reason that they're so people believe in them is because people want to be led. In this book, Mike Ritland talks a lot about dogs wanting to be led. They want to be led. They want you to be their master. It gets into a lot of psychology. It's really neat, actually, coming from a dog's history. But it's really the same deal with people. If your people, business, classroom, school, team, whatever, they want to be led. They want to be encouraged. They want to be taught. And it's up to you to teach them. But one of the foremost things that I'm taking from this book, and I've heard Howard, is just being in command of yourself. And the way you're in command of yourself is that you prepare. And how do you prepare? I'm going to bring it back to the opening of this show. You read and you learn. Reading is your preparation. Training is your preparation. Death by treadmill for me is my preparation, because nothing in life is going to be physically harder than death by treadmill. I do it once a week. Not fun, but it is preparation. So this has been what I learned this week. I encourage you all, hop on over to charliespaniard.com, opt into the email, and you're going to get this PDF document emailed to you, a different one. It's fresh content every week. Look, if I were in a leadership position and this guy would do this every week and email it to me, I would be using this. I guarantee I'd be using. I do use this stuff. It's how I run my workshops. So it's not just fluff. It's actually what I use and what you should use too. So hop on over to charliespaniard.com, opt in. For the Spanish, charliespaniard.com/Spanish. Tell me what you want to hear, people. Les quiero enseñar. I want to teach you, right? And you know what I would love to do? I'd love to host a live event at your school, at your business, at your library, in your town, out on your town square. So go to charliespaniard.com/booking, because one way or another, people, we're getting to the top. One way or another, we're gonna cement, we're gonna tattoo reading, we're gonna tattoo books, we're gonna tattoo learning into the mainstream, just like the ESPN, except it's gonna be called the Spaniard Channel, and it's gonna be called the Spaniard Show, and we're gonna be bringing it to you, and we're never gonna stop. Be bold, my friends. Oh my goodness. No exaggeration when I say I love that so much. I love it. So thank you for tuning in if you're watching the live stream. April 7th. April 7th. Was that about 2 weeks? It's a Saturday. 4 p.m. Barnes & Noble, Altoona. I will be doing live in person with people what I just did today, except it won't be this one. It won't be next week's one. It'll be the next week. So it's like so much learning. It's just never going to stop. It really is never going to stop. It can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. It ain't going to stop, because I ain't going to stop. And I need this stuff to get to where I want to go, and you need it to get where you want to go. So commit. Buy in. Be there Saturday, April 7th, Barnes & Noble, 4 p.m. Be bold, my friends. Have a nice Sunday afternoon.